Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Nothing takes away the winter chill quite like a wood stove. 1 in 4 Vermonters heat their homes with wood, according to a study by the Vermont Energy Investment Corporation. An added benefit to heating with wood is the revenue it brings to the local economy. And that's where UVM Extension agricultural business can lend a hand. We visited a forest-based business in Lamoille County that grew from a need for local firewood into a year-round forest products business. Here's Keith Silva.
Rick's Firewood in Hyde Park is a delight for the senses. There's the sound of the processor, the smell of the wood curing in the kilns, and the warmth of the wood stove.
To me, it's nothing better when I go home and there's the wood stove is going and I can back right up to it. That's kind of the idea.
When Rick Kesterson moved to Vermont in 2014, he had trouble finding firewood to heat his home. This dilemma lit a fire, so to speak, in this former building contractor, and within a year, he bought a small wood processor and sold 100 cords of firewood.
The business has grown because I saw some niches and holes in the market to where I could do something better for my family, do something better for myself. And I was getting too old to climb on roofs and repair houses and everything else. And with my age, this just seemed to be a better fit.
Rick's Firewood is a year-round business specializing in value-added wood products, from cordwood and kindling to wood for grilling and smoking. The value being added can be found in the steam coming from these massive kilns.
The average price of seasoned wood is around $300. It'll vary from vendor to vendor. My kiln dried right now that we're in winter time is $420 a cord, so it costs you $120 a cord more.
As anyone who's fired up a wood stove knows, the drier the wood, the better the burn. Wood takes a long time to dry out. The kilns cut the drying process from a year or more to less than a day.
Kiln dried basically boils the moisture out of the wood. It costs more, but you're going to end up with less creosote. So the more moisture you can get out of the wood, you actually gain in quality BTUs. And with a good wood stove, like a lot of us here in Vermont have, you can get a 10-12 hour burn out of this. So you actually burn less wood and get more BTUs out of it. That's the advantage.
We've got all 4 corners tied down.
The kilns speed up the drying process, but that wasn't the only thing getting fast-tracked. So too was Kesterson's business plan.
To really take the next step in growth, I had to make some adjustments. I needed another acre lot, which was right next to me. I needed to improve my processor. I needed to double its capacity. I needed to upgrade one of my kilns so I could double its capacity. I had a good business plan. I had taken it to the bank originally to get started in this, and I had a lot of my costs. I had all my spreadsheets that I'd set up and done, and the bank was really impressed. But I knew something else needed to happen.
That something else turned out to be an application from the Working Lands Enterprise Initiative. It's a program made possible by the state legislature, multiple state organizations, and public and private donors. The goal is to assist farm and forest-based businesses with technical and financial support.
Had intended all along to apply for that Working Lands grant. And when I first opened it and looked at it, I went, oh my. And this is a lot more. And I knew I needed help. And so that's when I really reached out to Chris and UVM Extension.
Yep, it's a very competitive process. And we worked hard on it.
Chris Lindgren is a forest business educator with the University of Vermont Extension.
A lot of the work that we do in the larger agricultural business program, as well as in the forest business program, is work on business planning with a wide variety of clients.
That processor was not directly in the business plan, but that was...
Working with Lindgren, Kesterson applied for and received a grant for $150,000. Each man credits their success to a team effort.
Rick is someone who's entrepreneurial. I knew when I met him He's also really good at understanding the processes that are involved in the work that was here, and he had a pretty clear vision, and that actually makes it a little easier for me when it comes to writing the business plan, because I don't have to sort of sift through a lot of different ideas or a lot of different possible directions that people are thinking of going.
Without Chris's guidance, I wouldn't have got it. He helped me be able to look at, okay, where's your sales goals? What are you going to actually get? How's it going to break down? What do you need? All of those things he was able to help me verbalize and get on a piece of paper. And then I got a piece of art back, is the way I would say it, okay? And I think when the Working Lands Grant looked at it, they took a really harder look, because it was a quality product that wouldn't have happened without UVM extension.
Rural economies depend on small businesses. In turn, small businesses depend on experts like those from UVM Extension to help realize a client's vision, grow their business, and in the case of Rick's Firewood, keep the fire going. In Hyde Park, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
For more information about UVM Extension's agricultural business program, visit their website or call 1-866-860-1382 extension 207. Meal planning is part of the daily routine, so it's easy to get stuck in a rut and reach for something convenient instead of eating a balanced meal. We looked into our archive for advice on meal planning, getting more fruits and vegetables into our diets, and tips for eating what's in season, even in the depths of winter.
We've decided to come here to the Jericho's Farmers Market to help people understand and better take advantage of the bounty that Vermont produces every summer. But in addition, we're here to show you that the vegetables that are grown in summer can also be made available to you in the fall, in the winter, in the spring. We're going to be sharing our tips with you about how to make the most out of the fruits and vegetables that you receive. If you receive a share through a community-supported agriculture program, through the Farm to Family coupons, from your own garden, or from those fruits and vegetables that you buy at a supermarket. There are 3 words that I want everyone to think of when they hear fruits and vegetables. Those 3 words are color, season, and half. Color, as you can see today, is all around us. And when you think about the food on your plate, you want to have as many colors on your plate as possible. Fruits and vegetables are the most colorful foods out there and the easiest to place on your plate to get the color that we're after. Season, it's all about celebrating the season. Whether it's today, as I said, on a beautiful, glorious summer day, or during the fall, when you're taking advantage of the fall harvest. In the winter, when you may be accessing the fruits and vegetables that you've put in your freezer, or you're going to the supermarket, or in the spring, when you're tasting those first few greens and peas, you want to be celebrating the season and be thinking about which foods are in season, because the foods that you buy that are in season are generally lower in price buying them in season than when they're out of season. And the last word I want you to think about is half. You want to make half your plate be filled with fruits and vegetables. Make a list, and that's not to say that you don't take advantage of what you see on sale, but you make a list. And when you get there, you're thinking about, well, I'm going to be buying raw foods. What am I going to do with these when I get home? Well, you're going to have to be thinking about washing them and cutting them and putting them into portion sizes. You're going to be thinking about, am I going to be chopping this for my recipe? Am I going to eat this with my fingers? Am I going to mash it up? Am I going to saute it? Am I going to steam it, bake it, use it in a stir fry? All of those questions that you're asking yourself will help you when you go to select what you're buying. You may have the opportunity to buy pre-packaged and chopped and cut vegetables and fruits. You may have the opportunity to buy 2 ears of corn instead of a dozen ears of corn. So think about what you're going to be wanting to use the fruits and vegetables for, and then go forth and act accordingly with your selection and questions that you have for when you're at a farmer's market, the farmer, or when you're at the store, the produce manager. When you think about what you buy and what you eat, Sometimes we get into these ruts, and when you live alone or are only cooking for 2 or 3 people, and you go and you buy some fruits and vegetables and you've gotten them all home, you think, am I going to be eating the same thing all week? Well, you don't have to. You know, one of those keys I talked about earlier about planning your menus out so you know what you're buying. Fruits and vegetables are great because they can be used in multiple recipes and in multiple dishes. You know, think about the vegetables you buy. By the end of the week, they may be looking a little sad looking, a little wilted. Those are perfect for a soup at the end of the week. At the beginning of the week, when they're nice and crisp, you might be thinking stir fry. So it doesn't mean eating the same thing over and over. You can take advantage of any offer that's saying, you know, if you buy 3 pounds, it's less expensive. Go that way and plan accordingly to use those vegetables at what stage they're at. When they're nice and crisp, use them earlier in the week. As they lose their crispness and their appeal, put them in a soup and they'll come back to life. One of the other uses for fruits and vegetables are enhancers or extenders. And some of those places in your kitchen that you can do that are with sauces, adding tomatoes, peppers, onions, spinach, broccoli. You can chop it up really finely. Carrots shredded can be added to any sauce and extend that. Be adventuresome. You know, it's really important to look at using fruits and vegetables in new ways and in thinking about them in ways that maybe you haven't. Sometimes it's hard to get out to a farmer's market. Either you can't get there, or sometimes the farmer's markets are hard to maneuver around. I know sometimes I get tired because there's just a lot of shopping on my feet. So there are other places that you're going to be shopping. You're going to be going to a supermarket. You may be going down to your corner store. You may be going out into your garden. It might be just as far as your freezer door to access those fruits and vegetables that you're going to be eating throughout the year.
And that's our program for today. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.